I spent 30 plus years in the corporate world, got to about 12 properties, doing it on the side. Woke up one morning, had a little bit of a crisis. My right arm was numb after several doctor's visits, MRIs, x-rays, all of that. It turned out I needed to have 3 discs, spacers put in the back of my neck. I knew at that point I was going to be out of commission for a while. I could not talk for like 3 months. I was supposed to be in and out of the hospital in like one day, and I was there for over a week. The one thing I learned was, never let a good crisis go to waste. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? I'm bedridden. I can't talk. What can I do to help maybe, grow my business?
2 years ago, you had 12 properties. How many properties do you have now?
I'm at 99 listings right now.
What's going on, STR Nation? This is your host and brother from another mother, Manuel Pani, here with the man himself, Mr. Mike Riley. What's going on, Riles?
Doing great, as always. I just launched a new property today, actually, in Oak Island, North Carolina. My parents live there, and I've wanted a place there for a while now. And so I helped one of my buddies get a place down there, designed it for him, and went live today. And then got 2 others around here. And, it's funny where I haven't really focused too much on acquisition and sales of the property management company, but really this whole week I've spent 80% of my time just on that. And there's so many good opportunities out there. Just where energy goes, deals come. Just giving it energy and feeding it more. And it's been a good week so far. So
I love
and for you too, huh?
Yeah, dude. I've been working on a project over here. I got some positive information today, and again, it's all a matter of understanding, having a clear mental picture. And I think that the show today is gonna really attest to that as well, right? We had Steve Resnick on the show. I'm gonna say it again. You're gonna hear in the intro in a second, but I'm gonna say it again. He's one of my favorite members of the mastermind. Not for nothing, but it's because he's somebody that takes aggressive action, like brutally aggressive action in terms of accomplishing what he wants to accomplish, has unapologetic work ethic, goes and executes on everything you tell him. He's one of the fastest executors that I've ever seen in my life. And he starts the show sharing a story about some health problems that he had and how, as he was there, couldn't talk, surgery, a moment that you'll be like, Steve, just hang it out. Just have a second, right? He's like, I was laying there and just clearing a clear mental picture of what I want. And I decided my goal was 120 properties. And Steve's joining us today with 99 properties. He wanted 120 by the end of 2026. He's going to smash that goal, right? And so super inspiring show. And again, it's a perfect show for me to end my summer here, right? I've been here for 3 months now. I don't know how that happened. But last year when I made this decision, I didn't know how this was going to be possible. I didn't understand it. And I just did it anyways, right? I booked a ticket. And then when I got here, I focused on very few things, right? I had some health goals. I spent time crafting my clear mental vision for my boutique hotel brand. I spent time going around and looking at properties and taking daily action towards it. And 3 months later, I'm down 12 kilos. I have a solid lead on the property that I laid my eyes on when I got here, and everybody's been telling me that it's not possible, it's not for sale, it's not available, it's not this, it's not that. And I kept going around being like, unless you're gonna tell me the way that we're gonna figure this out, no other part of this conversation is of any interest to me. Until I met somebody 2 weeks ago that is like, I actually know the guy, and I think he wants to sell it. I'm like, finally, the man I've been waiting for, right? And so I do hope you get truly inspired by Steve. He has built an amazing business. He's an amazing person. And he's the perfect example of what is possible once you add a clear mental picture, have a plan. And as my dad used to say, we plan for work and we work the. And that's what Steve has done. Steve has planned the work and worked the plan. And then he goes back, plans the work, works the plan. And he has done some crazy numbers for this summer that both make mine and Riley business look like shit. And yet, the only thing that I feel is inspired. And I know Riley feels the same way. And we hope that you will as well after listening to the show. Well, I'm super excited to welcome one of my favorite people from the STR Secret Mastermind, the man that always has a win ready for me at every conversation. And you guys will soon get to understand why. But we welcome Steve Resnick from Heavenly Raz on the show. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm just super excited to be here. So thanks for the invite. Really happy to be part of this and look forward to sharing my experiences.
Amazing, man. So give our listeners a little background about you. You started 2 years ago. You had 12 properties. How many properties do you have now?
I'm at 99 listings right now. So I spent 30 plus years in the corporate world and got into short-term rentals through the purchase of one of my own properties in the market that I'm in, which is the Jersey Shore. So really was doing this as a hobby for quite some time and started to really enjoy and think through that, hey, I can do this better than the agencies that were managing my property. So started to do that and things took off. It went really well. I ended up saying, okay, I had no idea what I was getting into when I first started. And then, things went really well. So I said, how can I double down on this? So I basically put out a feeler out there, a search, to find a similar property, same bedroom, same bathroom count, same proximity to the beach. And I said, I'm just going to purchase another one of these things because it was doing so well. And, magically I found something and put an offer in. Next thing you know, it did the same exact thing. So I just rinsed and repeat. I did it one more time and then COVID hit and things got a little scary during COVID. During that time, I was working for a corporate financial institution and they relocated me to Texas. So I decided I'll just sell one of my properties. And the gentleman that I sold to could not believe the rental income that I was getting from that property. And in fact, he thought I wasn't being truthful. So I said, yeah, like here's the documents, showed him all the agreements. And he said, hey, you know what? If you can really do this kind of income at this property, that's amazing. Can you just manage this property for me since you're already used to doing it? I said, sure. And that was kind of the entry into the short-term rental game as a business, but it was still more of a hobby because I was doing it part-time. So at that point, what happened was, I got to a level, just organic growth, got to about 12 properties, and again, was doing it on the side. Woke up one morning and had a little bit of a crisis. My right arm was numb and I could barely move it. It felt like I hit my elbow. How you hit your funny bone? Well, that was the feeling that I got. I didn't know what happened. I didn't do anything that would cause that. I just woke up one morning that way. And make a long story short, after several doctor's visits, MRIs, x-rays, all of that, it turned out I needed to have 3 discs, titanium spacers put in the back of my neck. So I knew at that point I was going to be out of commission for a while. This was about August of 2023. So I just kind of buckled up and they actually went through the front of my neck to get to the back of my neck. I could not talk for like 3 months. I was supposed to be in and out of the hospital in like one day, and I was there for over a week. It's a very scary time, but and I was on all kinds of pain meds at the time. So my first act was trying to get off the pain meds and then able to kind of focus on some things. And then, the one thing I learned in the corporate world was, never let a good crisis go to waste. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? I'm bedridden. I can't talk. What can I do to help maybe, grow my business? So I got my real estate license. During that time, I watched a lot of YouTubes to study because I really couldn't hold anything or do anything, with my injury. So it was a rough time, but I got through it. When I was in bed, I created a vision. The vision was, hey, I have 12 properties. How do I 10X, right? So my goal became 120 properties. So what did I do? I went out to Vistaprint. I bought a poster. I had 120 little blocks. I had 12 of them already filled out. I got little stickers. Actually, I don't know somewhere. Show you guys what this looks like. This is like a little replica of it, but it's basically is 120 properties on here, right? So every time I got a property, I have a bigger version, a poster size version of this on my bedroom door. I have a little sticker. I put the sticker on. I have a little label maker. I put the property address on it, and then I put the sticker on, and I celebrate every time I get a property, right? So I did that. And every time I woke up, I just looked at that poster board and said, what am I doing today to get me to my 3-year goal, right? And this was, 20, we're not even at the end of 2025 and I'm already like hitting my 2026 number. So I'm way ahead of schedule. The end of 2026, my 3-year goal was by the end of 2026 to be at 120. Then I'm going to crush that goal. As I got closer, I got stuck, to be honest. I'll step backwards a little bit. But when I joined the STR Secrets Mastermind, it was for a reason. I got to a point where I was at 44 properties. This was a year ago today, as like almost exactly a year ago from today. I was at 44 properties and I could not take any more on. It was a nightmare. Like my wife and I, she was helping me and we were just tied to our phones at all times. There was no way I could take on anymore. I couldn't breathe. It was really bad. But, the profit was good because it was only me, right? But then I'm like, this is not sustainable. I'm going to crash and burn. And one day I was just perusing through Facebook. I saw Mike Sjogren pop up and he was talking to me specifically, it seemed like. And I showed my wife, I'm like, look at this. I was talking about exactly where we are right now. We can't move forward. And I'm like, I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I'm not gonna spend money to join a mastermind group. That's ridiculous. I can do it on my own. And she was like, no, you need help. You need help. So, I always always listen to my wife, right? She knows best. So I took her advice and that was the best thing I did because that enabled me to unlock the next level. And by that, I mean, build a team, right? So when I joined the STR Secrets Mastermind, it was like a light bulb went off and I'm like, wow, this is the way, right? This is the unlock of the next level. And I went through all of the build out the SOPs, do even before do the time study. I literally followed the playbook as written in the STR Secrets Mastermind, started joining the calls and built a team out, built all my SOPs out, did everything as prescribed. Before you know it, I was like, all right, I have a team now. And now I have a full team. I have a marketing manager. I have 5 guest support specialists. I have, executive support. I have a business development director. I have just hired a cleaning team manager, 2 ops managers. So just started to grow the team. And now, I feel a lot better. I'm able to focus on building the business more and not in the business. So that was the big change there.
That's amazing. Well, guys, that's the show for you guys this week. No, I'm joking. I mean, Steve, again, right? How I introduced you, it's exactly how I feel about you, right? Like anytime that I've met you, anytime that I've been around you, your drive and your execution, right? Like I know very few people that execute as well as you do, right? And so I have so many directions that I want to go to, right? But one of the big things that I think was a pivotal point in your life, right? And I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's that moment, right? Like you're sick, you're bedridden, you're on painkillers, right? And so what would the story be for the majority of people out there? With the Steve does not do shit with his life, has the excuse to be there and be like, oh, poor Steve. Instead, Steve does a completely different thing, right? Steve spends that time, even though you're bedridden, even though you can't talk. Whereas like that moment where most people are going to be like, Steve, you have every right to feel pissed off with life and things are shitty, like whatever, right? So walk us through that mindset, because I think what I know from you is that I think that mindset then serves you in other parts of this journey. But help us understand what was the conversation within Steve in that moment of like, this is what I'm going to do.
Well, I've dealt with lots of hardships and tragedies in my life, unfortunately. And the one thing that I learned is use that as an opportunity. Use that as, when you're down, when things are not going your way, as, we learned this in the mastermind too, about the mindset, right? So failure or, things not going your way is just on the same level as success. So it will help get you to that next level. Use that to propel what you want to do in life. And it really comes down to establishing a clear mental image of what it is you want, right? Having that burning desire and then going after that, right? Believing that you can do it and living the life as if you already did it. And that's what I do. And that's how I motivate my team. And that's what I live by those principles and it served me well.
I love it. So you went from your high season, which is last summer, right? Then you experienced explosive growth, but you also went from doing everything yourself, so keeping all those profits for yourself, to then hiring a huge team. Did your profit went down, and how did you handle that? Like, I assume that as you're hiring and growing, Steve wasn't making as much money as he was making when was Steve by himself?
Yeah, I mean, definitely any business is going to be where you are, you know, you're making, you're going on an upward trajectory, and then you need to take a dip in order to get to the next level and unlock that. So as you hire staff, the highest cost of actually doing business is usually your people cost. But the people are the most important because you can't do this business on your own. So you need to have that infrastructure in place. You need to have the people. I always talk about things from our business perspective in terms of people, process, and technology. So everything that we do, investing in all of those three things costs money. But that money that you're spending on that allows you to go to that next level, which in turn will ultimately be more profitable. So you take a short-term dip in profits for a long-term gain in profitability for the
It's been fun just seeing you grow over the last year. But I do remember this had to have been like, I don't know, last September. Um, when you were hiring all those people, I think you got on one of my calls on Friday, and you said, "Yeah, I'm making all these investment in people, but like my profit's pretty much nothing now." It's you built a great business, you're very profitable, but then you see that go down, especially hiring in the off season too. You're getting ready for the high season. But how did you get through that mentally too, to be like, "All right, this is going to work"? Because I feel like a lot of people get stuck on, all right, I got to make this investment in my business, but they see the profit number go down. Fear starts to kick in of what's going to happen if this doesn't work. So how'd you get over that?
I just look at myself, the self-image of me being at 120 properties, which was my goal back then. Since then, I've kind of updated it. But the 120 properties, like I started making decisions based off of a CEO operating 120 properties and not where I was at that point in time, knowing that and believing truly that I would be there, just a matter of when, not, if, right? So I made those hiring decisions knowing my growth was going to be significant. And if I didn't make decisions in the off season and invest in doing that at that point in time, I would be really feeling the pain during the season, which is when things are really needed. So there wasn't even a question in my mind. I knew I was going to get there. So therefore, why am I not hiring the people to support that vision, right? I wasn't hiring people to support where I was in that day, but where I was going. So I just used that mentality and it served me well.
I love that. So when you look at the team and the people that you hired, give us kind of like your mindset in terms of how you were hiring people. And was there a hire that you did, or maybe a partnership that you created, that you saw was a critical point for you in how explosive your growth was from that?
Yeah, absolutely. All of my hires were very strategic and they were all, in hindsight, all kind of meant to be in order for me to get to where I'm at. The first thing I did was really establish a partnership because, like I said, I moved from the Jersey Shores where my market is. I'm in North Dallas right now. I'm in Texas. So I'm not even close to my market, which actually is a really good thing in hindsight because I'm the kind of person that likes to be in things a lot. So I would probably be spending a lot of time inside properties doing things that a CEO doesn't need to be doing. So it's good that I have that distance and I can rely on my team to do what they need to do. But yeah, like the first thing I did is, hey, I'm in Texas. I need help. I want to grow this business to 120 properties. How am I going to do that in Texas? So my first really partnership was with a local realtor that was doing similar things that I was doing. And she was stuck because she didn't have the tech background that I had and the ability the business background, be able to scale. So she was stuck in her little world of managing a handful of properties. And I said, hey, what if we combine forces? Your properties fall under Heavenly Res, and then you serve as our business development director. Since you're local, you have all these relationships with other realtors in the area. So why don't you help build the portfolio? So she was very instrumental in doing that. And then, obviously the internal operations and things like that. So I think every single hire that I made had a purpose and served me well. There was a couple, we had to fire a lot of our cleaners and an ops manager because of, just some things that we learned over the season. So there's there's lessons learned. We're not a perfect organization. No organization is, but we're always striving for perfection in everything that we do. And the nature of the market that we're in, a lot of the competition that we have is they're old real estate companies that have been doing business the same way for 100 years. I've made more changes in my business this year than they have in 100 years. Just think about that. And we're taking things to the next level. We're continuously evolving. We're reimagining everything now that we're where we're at. So it's only going to get better. I'm looking forward to, I'm really excited about the future of Heavenly Res and what we're bringing to market.
What are some examples of what you're looking at right now and what you're going to be implementing in the future? Like kind of what are you seeing in the market and how are you adapting to it?
The biggest thing is, things that worked when we had 20, 30 properties don't necessarily work at 90, 100, 120 properties and more. The biggest thing that we're seeing from an operational perspective is control over inventory management, consumables, and linens. Because all of our properties are located in the same relative proximity on the same island, we have opportunity to create a centralized hub. So we're looking at commercial real estate right now to bring in linen operations and consumables and have higher standards when it comes to replacement of linens, adhering to higher quality standardization and owning the linen, the linen program, as well as consumables, bringing it to the next level. I mean, some of the real estate companies that are in our market are very transactional. They're really real estate companies that, oh, by the way, I'm going to get into the rental game because there's an opportunity. But it wasn't like we consider ourselves to be in the hospitality industry, which is completely different from a transactional real estate company. So our focus on guest experience is unparalleled right now, and we're just that's helping us establish our niche in the market.
Yeah, that's one thing I was looking at too, is just centralizing linen management and really buying a laundromat down, because there's a lot of different management companies, but then there's also a lot of hosts as well, like single hosts. Nobody knows what to do with linens. Like linens are like the biggest pain, right? So if we can solve that,
If it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
So it's not easy.
and you also get to take advantage of, if you're owning that real estate, you get to take advantage of the, the depreciation on the real estate, but then also on the building and on the machinery and everything too. So there's a lot of benefits. One thing I've never asked you, and you kind of alluded to it earlier too, but something I've always wanted to ask you is, you and I have never talked about adding properties or sales or acquisitions and how you do that. Was the partnership kind of the main way that you did that, or what's your like go-to sales methodology?
No, I mean, that was only a small amount that my partner, property holder, she had about a half a dozen or so, maybe a little more, but none of our property onboardings have been in the form of acquisition. They've all been under growth. A lot of them have been from referrals of other realtors and from other owners. And the best one that I could think of is actually a couple of them. One is like when we get guests, and this has happened several times, guests who've stayed at our properties and they're like, wow, you guys did a great job managing our stay. I'm buying the investment property. Can you guys manage our property? And we're like, yeah, that's great. And that's happened several times for us. And then also, believe it or not, I won't mention any names, but some of our competitors have actually reached out to us that trust our company, even though they have a company that does rentals. They use us rather than their own company. So that speaks a lot, even though, those are not big dollar value properties. To me, those are monumental in terms of just, being able to have the confidence in our organization over their own is just amazing.
Done. Steve, when you talk about partnership with agents and realtor, I think that's something that a lot of hosts are like, oh, I would love to do that. But like how, and a lot of realtors do tend to have that transactional kind of mindset. So what is your pitch to a realtor? So if a host is like, Steve, I know tons of realtors, what do I tell them so that they bring me clients? What's your pitch?
Our perspective is with everything that we do is we lead with value and service. So what is it that we're doing for the realtors? We're providing their clients with rental projections. We're experts at, preparing pro forma rental projections. So we can very precisely estimate how much money we're going to make owners. And oh, by the way, we can make more money, client can make more money with us than any other company, right? So we're very confident of that because we have all the inbuilt technology people and process that I was talking about. So we're confident in that. We share that with the realtors to say, hey, you want to do your client a favor, have them rent with us. Not only do we make them more money, but we'll make their lives 100% stress-free and passive investment, which is, right there is adding value. So they want to add value to their clients. We help them. We a professional and precise proposal that outlines exactly what that we can make them, which is significantly more than any other company in our market can make them. So that they feel like they're getting the value from having that tool to be able to share that documentation and also know that they're in good hands when they recommend somebody to us. They're in good hands. So that's that. But that's not the real estate referral is just one of many. So we have lots of different ways that we do things. We've done everything from sending out direct mail to campaigns using Go High Level. And we have distribution lists of absentee owners that we send out, proactively go out to. Another big thing for us is because we're in the same area is we put up property signs for every time we get a property into our portfolio. So the name gets out there, and I have so many people reach out and say, hey, I saw your sign and love to talk to you about you managing my property. So those work as well. So we don't just stick to one or two ways. We just kind of, do spread it out as much. But the referrals are the most, I think, powerful, right?
So as the CEO of a company that manages 99 rentals, what does your time study look like? Like, what do you spend your time on right now?
Right now, I try to solve the big problems. My team is doing a great job with the day-to-day guest experience, things like that. Right now, I'm solving the problem of the linen operation, for example, like reimagining the whole process around that. How do we get better at what we do so that we can serve more clients, right? So we can serve more owners and guests. So what are the big problems that need to be solved to get to that next level? That's what I'm spending most of my time on right now.
I love it. One of the things that you told us off air, right, which is counterintuitive, right? Because Steve has this goal of getting to 120 properties by the end of 2026. Steve is at 99 properties right now. It is August 28th. And then Steve said, as we were about to jump on, it's like, actually, I plan on going down with properties. So help people understand your mindset there, right? You're so close to your goal. Why not just get to your goal? What's the reasoning behind what it is that you're doing?
My goal is to serve people. At the end of the day, is to serve owners and serve guests. So in order to do that, we have a target kind of what the model property is that we want to be able to manage as well. So we don't want to just accept subpar properties because that will give the guests bad experiences. And then at the end of the day, it's not serving us or the owner if we're not able to maximize their profitability and have a great guest experience. So we need to be more particular on the properties that we onboard. So we've been looking at that, and some of the ones that aren't a great fit in terms of three factors. One, is it a good fit with the owner? The relationship and the partnership needs to be on point. We love our owners and we want to make sure that they are valuing what we're doing and we value them as well. But it's not always 100% a good fit. So we need to look at those kinds of things. We look at the property. If the property doesn't meet our standards, that's okay. We're fine with that as long as the owner is willing to invest. My wife is an interior designer, so she provides her interior design skills actually at no cost, which most people can't believe that she does that, but it's a win-win-win for everyone because the fact is that if she provides input into the design of a property for free, what is that doing? It's making the owner more money, right? Because they're going to have a better property. It's going to show nicer in the photos. It's going to make the guest happier. And when the guest is happier, the owner's making more money. And when the owner's making more money and the guest's happy, we're happy. So it's a win-win-win. So we offer her services no charge. So we're always looking at like how do we serve better? So it's the identification of, does the owner fit well and that we have a good relationship there? Are they willing to do the things that we recommend to do? Does the property meeting with our brand standards? And if it's not, that's okay too, as long as they're willing to invest. And then lastly, it's just about, is it a property that's going to be profitable for us and for the owner? Right.
Amazing. So Steve, walk us through, and I want to be respectful of of your time here as well. Again, I know you're also working on speaking to every single one of your owners right now, right? So that's another thing
Yes.
you've been doing, right? So help us understand, right? You're somebody that got to 40 properties again. You did what your wife said, right? Like, your wife is always right. She says, Steve, you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in this mastermind to help you out. Yeah, I talk to a lot of people. I have the pleasure of speaking to a lot of people that join our mastermind. And that's a real struggle for some people, right? Like, the idea of investing in themselves, it's a struggle. And you've showed us on this show that you continuously invest in yourself, right? You invest in the mastermind, then you are making the profits, and now you invested those profits back into your team. And yet every time you do it, you continue to do it, right? So help us understand your mindset.
Yeah, I would say if you're unclear, unsure whether or not you need a mastermind or you need help, you always do, right? Because you want to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, right? And you want to surround yourself with people that are operating at the level you're operating at or higher, mostly higher, because you want to learn from other people and you also want to give back too. So I think it's great to have a community of people that you trust and you can have a relationship with, and you can understand different ideas and different disciplines and different ways of doing things. But it also helps you with the structure of, if you're stuck somewhere, there's no reason to ever be stuck if you have the right people around you that are going to support you, right? So the mastermind was one way to do that. And I think, I got to the level with the mastermind, like I said, it was a year ago that I joined, but I also took that to the next level and joined into the boardroom. So the boardroom, the reason why I was almost forced into doing that, because I ran out of content. I always joke about it, but literally, like, there were so many coaching calls. Everything is pre-recorded, right? There's so much content within the STR secrets, but I would literally like live, breathe, and sleep the content. And I got to a point where I'm like, I need more. I need more. So when I heard about the boardroom, I'm like, I need to do that, because I need to surround myself. Not only do I need more content, but I need to surround myself with people that are next level. So that's the way to do it. Just continue to invest in yourself, because everything comes from inside, right? And that's part of what I learned too, in being in the secrets, is that the true secret is really your mindset, right? 80% of this is mindset. And the 20% is the practitioner side of it, which I am very like, I'm very data driven. I'm very operational. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to things like that. And less so did I tap into my mindset. But once I started doing that, it really unlocked even a higher level. So you want to just keep on challenging yourself, make sure your mind is in the right place, and like I said, make sure you are around the people that you respect, admire, and can grow from.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I remember that first call that you and I had, Steve. It was, I think it was right when you first joined. I remember I don't remember exactly how it went, but you basically said to me, "Hey, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I spent, 12K or whatever it was you initially paid to work with us." And you were like, "I don't know if this is going to be the right fit for me." It's crazy to think that somebody could charge that much and I could get that much amount of value out of it. So it's cool to see just how far you've come. Over doubled your company,
You know,
the right people.
you know what, Mike? I want to give you some kudos on this, because literally the first thing you said to me, like, I explained my background, where I was, how I was stuck. You said, Steve, like, I was like, where do I start? Like, you're like, don't do, like, forget about everything else. The one thing you want to do is focus on the module, elevate the CEO. Just do that. Like, I don't want you doing anything else. Just do that. And you were right on point, because I gobbled that up. That's what I needed. That was exactly what I needed, because that was like the step by step walkthrough of like realizing what you're doing with your time every day. Are you spending your time doing the right things, doing a time study? What are the pain points? What are the things that are not highest and best use of your time, right? How do you start building out the standard operating procedures so that you actually have a business and not a hobby, and you have a team of people? So like, a business isn't a business when you have one person, and if that person is not on board, the business falls apart, right? So the business has to be self-sustainable without the leader for it to be a true business. I wasn't there, but that whole focus on elevate the CEO brings you there. It brings you to the point where you actually have a team and you have a business. Right? That's the big thing. People think they have a business, but they don't. They bought themselves essentially a job, right?
Yeah. I remember we also talked about just going on date night with your wife every week, or going on walks too. That was important to you as well. And you started doing that stuff like right away too, right?
I started time blocking my schedule. So I would build in time for date night. I would build in time for a hot tub time, right? For personal time. So I can just kind of relax and get my mind in the right place. So just time blocking is like the first step. And then you start building out and filling in those blocks with things that are needed to do, like accepting meetings only on certain days, making sure you have time to do what you want to do, right? Live that perfect week.
Steve, I have really enjoyed getting to watch you grow, and I look forward to seeing you get to 120 and beyond that. So for people that want to learn more about you or want to connect with you, or they're like, dude, I go to the Jersey Shore all the time and my place didn't have sheets. I had to bring my own sheets, which was one of the things that Steve also revolutionizing this market, right? If you guys want to believe it or not, when Steve got started, standard for the Jersey Shore was the people spending good money on weekly rentals had to bring their own linens. And Steve was like, this is bullshit. So it's a revolutionize the market, right? But if people are like, I love the Jersey Shore, where can people come and find you and book with you guys?
Yeah, so our website is heavenlyres.com. You can also visit us on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube, Heavenly Res. So yeah, look us up, Heavenly Res with a Z.
Amazing. And Steve, the last question that we ask everybody, and I'm looking forward to your answer, is what is your number one secret to success with short-term rentals?
My number one secret is really have a heart of service, right? In everything that you do, because if you want to be successful, you're only going to be successful if you serve others, right? So everything we do is really about our owners and our guests. We want to make our owners serve them properly, have great relationships with them, make them more money than they've ever made before, stress less, right? Truly passive income, and then ultimately get better care of their property than anyone else can. And then from a guest perspective, give them what they want, right? A great experience, and they're super loaded amenities. Right? They want to have a 5-star experience, create memorable moments with their families, and be able to talk to somebody when you have problems. 24/7 guest support, 7-minute response times. Those things are important to guests when you're on a vacation. You want things immediate when things go wrong. So we're always there to respond quickly and help all of our guests have a better time and enjoy their vacation, right?
100%. I couldn't agree more. Steve, this was such a great chat. I know it's going to be a very motivating show for people to listen to. And again, I am very proud of you and the growth that you have had. Very proud to have you as part of the boardroom. I'm very proud to have you as part of Secrets. And we look forward to just continuing to watch you succeed. And I hope this show really motivates everybody listening to it. See you guys on the next one. Ciao, guys.
Thank you.